This is a follow-on video to my last video on genetic crosses, which explained the basic terminology used in genetics. When answering genetics questions, it's important to identify the key parts in the question. So in this question, it says that in a fruit fly, body colour is controlled by two alleles. The allele for grey body is dominant over the allele for black body. So in this question, it doesn't actually tell you which letters to use. So I'm going to decide my own letters. So it says grey body is dominant over black body. So I'm going to use the letters G. So I'm going to say that capital G represents grey and small g represents black. Remember that the capital letter always represents the dominant allele. The next part of the question, it says if two heterozygous flies are crossed, show by diagrams the ratio of the flies with grey bodies to flies with black bodies is 3:1. Okay, so an important thing here is the term heterozygous. And remember from my last video that heterozygous means that the alleles are different. So it says two heterozygous flies, so that's going to be big G, little g, multiplied by big G, little g. So then I'm after writing those out, and now I'm going to do my Punnett square. Like the last video, it doesn't matter which one goes on top and which one goes at the side, so I'm just going to write both of them down. Now multiplying these out, so this first box is going to be capital G and capital G. The next box is going to be capital G, small g. The next one again is going to be capital G, small g. And then the last one is small g, small g. So when you're doing out your Punnett squares, you don't need to put in those arrows. I'm just doing them to help show you where I'm getting those answers from. What I tend to do after this then is just write down all the genotypes that I got. And then after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the phenotypes of each of these. So two capital G's represents grey. A capital G and a small g represents grey as well, because remember that the capital letter overrides the small letter. And then two small g's means that it's a recessive, so that is the black one. So that shows that you have the ratio of 3:1 grey bodies to black. This question is quite similar. So the most important thing is that you read the question and you identify what's the important things in it. So this question, it tells us what the genotypes are. So the first thing is that long-winged is capital L, and then that short-winged is small l. So the question says a homozygous dominant fly. So a homozygous dominant means that it has two alleles that are the same, and it's dominant, so it's obviously the capital letter, is crossed with a short-winged fly. And although it doesn't say it in the question, we know that for it to be short-winged, it has to have two copies of the recessive allele, so it needs to be homozygous recessive. So after this then we do the Punnett square. The question they're looking for us to find is the genotypes and phenotypes of the F1 generation. And the F1 generation just means the first generation or the offspring of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the capital L's on top and the small l's on the side. And when I cross these, I'm going to be left with capital L, small l, capital L, small l, capital L, small l, and capital L, small l. So for the offspring for this, they're all going to be 4 capital L, small l's. So that is representing the genotype, and then the phenotype of capital L, small l just means that it is going to be a long-winged fly.